guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all well, and I do apologise for the absence. Work, family life, you know how it goes, gets quite busy sometimes, can't play with toys. So this is actually the second video I made. I made one about 2 nights ago on my phone because I lost the charger from my GoPro. Finished the full thing, probably about 15 minutes long, about spraying this. There's no surprises now, it's going red. And yeah, all the data got wiped, so raging. I'm back to the old GoPro again, so we'll give that a wee whiz and hopefully it doesn't delete all my shit. And look at this, we have an addition. We now have a space heater. This thing probably needs a little bit of a service. I mean, it's hot, it's hot, but it's not like blowtorch hot. So I'll get this place up to temperature a little bit, and today in this video we're going to be spraying the engine bay. My plans were to install the K20 engine itself, however I'm not going to be able to do that just yet because I need to get myself a modified slave for pushing onto here, because I had got my drive plates modified by CG Motorsport, so they are dealing with the situation and are making me a new spacer. The bench, as per usual, is an absolute mess, however I won't bother cleaning it up because I need most of it for painting the car. Explained in my last video that got deleted, it's going a Ford Radiant Red, and this red's a really deep red. It's a really nice deep red. It's much sort of brighter than the original sort of Mazda red, but yeah, I seen it in a car in the street and you know what, I just fell in love with it. So it's already red on the logbook, so why not just make the car red? Shout out times now. So basically the first people I'd like to shout out for would be CG Motorsport. Again, they're still putting up all my bullshit, they're still putting up all my adjustments I want done, and you know what, they're just top notch. They definitely know what they're doing, so much appreciated to that and props to them. Another shout out will be to my mate Gordon. He's a sprayer that's been giving me tips, and he's actually given me a shot of his Developus GTI. So I used this last time on the white RX7. Actually, I'll show you that right now, because here she is. But to be honest, I'm pretty angry with her. I was going to take her out for a run last night. Well, actually I took her out for a run tonight, and the fucker broke down. So that engine needs to come out, and we will be rebuilding that soon. So subscribe if you want to get a notification of that thing getting pulled apart and, you know, pulling all the mints out it. Another shout out will be to Ben Powell, I think his second name was. Him and his mate own a company called BK Car Parts. What they do is they break Hondas and sell all their bits off to enthusiasts like myself now. And I must say as well, at a banging price. You won't get anything as cheap as you would from them guys that you will off eBay or that. They're definitely worth a shout if you give them a shot. So yeah, like I say, they break all the Hondas, they know what they're talking about. They also build their own stuff as well, so if you want to give them a bit of a following, go for it. But it's good to have this sort of lads in the community helping us out, because we're not all made of money, get what I'm saying? Pre-grease, pre-wipe, it's like paint panel wipe, I think some people call them, and that's just basically to take the grease off the engine bay. I've done some test bits and there is quite a lot of silicone in here, so yeah, we're just going to have to see how that goes. I mean, to be honest, with it being an engine bay and covered in oil, it's going to be hard anyway, so I will probably just do dust coats. Generally I'll go a nice couple of good fat coats, but this one I'll probably need a good 2 or 3 dust coats before I lay it on thick. I've panel wiped the car, I've let it sort of flash off, and now I'm going to talk about the setup I use on the spray gun. So like I say, Developus GTI. Typically I do use this regulator and a little water trap on the bottom of the gun. However, for some reason tonight, I don't know if it's the regulator or if it's the flow of gun too much for the regulator, I can't get it flowing past the bar. Now, my mate, the sprayer, I believe everything he says, so I'm going to follow his rules. He said I should be spraying around about 2.5 bar, which is around about 36 psi. However, I do have a regulator down here, so I have set it on that regulator. When I pull the gun on full belt, runs at 36 psi. Now there will be some losses through the hoses etc, but you know, I'm going to have to just deal with it. I'm just going to have to try it as it is. So It shouldn't be too far off, and it is. I'll be able to sort of mix it up from there with pressures to see if it'll get to spray it a little bit better. Should always give the paint a bit of a stir. With this being 2K gloss, you want to give it a good stir to make sure you've got glossiness and all the other materials mixed in. Right, so what I've done here is to make things a little bit easier. That's obviously the paint I'm going to be using, and these are sort of ratios of here. This paint is a 2K and it's 2 parts paint to 1 part hardener. I've got the fast hardener here. The reason I'm using the fast hardener is it's quite cold out here and it just helps things dry a little bit better. 2 parts paint, so that would be up to this part here, 2 parts, and this part here would be to hardeners, and normally a splash of thinners in there as well. However, that depends on temperature and stuff like that as well. Again, my mate Gordon, he's giving me tips. When you dip it in, swirl it around, pull the stick out, and you want to see a steady stream until 3 to 4 seconds, then you want to start seeing drips. He says that's a good gauge of thickness for this gun, and I should say it's a 1.4mm gun if I mind right. So what I'll do is I'll pour this up to the first mark, and we'll go easy with this. I've just put it in a different pot to just make it a little bit easier for pouring, because pouring it straight out of the tin could be a bit of a nightmare. So it's coming up to the 2 mark now, and we're about there. So that's the two part there. You're not even going to be able to see this. I don't even know what I'm showing you. Well, the next part will be this hardener here. So once the hardener is in, you give it a good mix. And believe it or not, if you don't mix it good enough, that's when you can actually get problems with reacting with your paint. So give that a good wee minute, and I'll show you what I mean about this dripping. So when I lift it up, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's about 5 seconds before it starts dripping. Obviously we want it between 3 and 4, so what we'll do is we'll add some 2K thinners, maybe just 10%, and see if we can get down between 3 and 4 seconds. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, fucking bang on. So yeah, it was about 10% thinner. So another thing, we've got real life filters, no more socks. Right, so I'm going to mix this for another 30 seconds or so. Going to bung her in the gun. Bung her in the gun! And then we're going to give it some... Oh, sorry, I'm going to put the extraction system on. I'm going to put my breathing apparatus on. And we're going to give this thing some dust coats. So, we're almost ready to paint. A couple of things you need to set up. This one here is the fluid tip. So you wind that out, you'll get a lot more paint. This one here is the fan, so you wind that all the way out, you'll get, I think you actually get a spot with that, so we'll wind her right out and we'll see what we get. So, yeah, that's a real wide fan. So if you wind her in, let's see, should be a spot. So there you go, you've got the 2 different there, and you can go between. So basically, because if I'm using big panels, I'll spray with the fan. Because I need to get into some nice areas, I'll use a mixture between the 2 and probably go for a bit smaller than that, to be honest. But yeah, fluid looks fine, it's all sort of widespread, and okay, so you've got to tape that down again, and we'll give her some sprays. Rightio, I've made up another batch and just waiting for that to filter through. When that's done, we're going to start smashing on and lay another rain down. There we go, second coat on now. Looks not bad. I mean, there is some areas See around here, see all this sort of I don't really know, but I know what it is. It's sand from where it bead blasted. I blew a bit out earlier and it's landed on the paint, and I thought, fuck it, I just paint over the thing anyway. I could sort it later on, but I'm not really going to be bothered. So yeah, basically now, last step, one last paint, a nice thick wet coat. I'll probably just paint it and then get a wee film afterwards, because you get the gist. And as if by magic, she's done. So it's turned out not bad. I'm pretty happy with most of it. There is a couple of bits again over there with the grit that is a bit of a letdown, however I'm not too bothered. It's all one colour, so yeah, it turned out not bad. It's a really nice bright red. I really am loving the colour of it, so I'm pretty chuffed with that. So all there's left to do is clean up the guns, clean it up with basically just thinners, clean up the guns and the tips and put them in a wee sort of the top part, I think. What's that called? The fill cup. The cup. We'll go with the top cup. We'll fill this up with thinners. We'll put the bits, the needles and the end pieces in there, just to kind of keep them all nice and clean, ready for when we actually do the car, which I'll do in sections. I won't be able to get the whole car sprayed in here, so I'll do the bumper, then the bonnet, then the wings, etc. However, just now, this bit's painted. This is the main bit, so that the car can actually go outside now, so I can actually get on with some of the other projects I've got on. Right guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for yous who have got involved and messaged me with your tips and tricks. It's all much appreciated. Again, thanks to all the guys I said earlier on, with Ben, the BK car parts, the breakers and stuff like that, Jowl Paint, CG Motorsport. You all know who you are. Again, I'm not sponsored, I'm just thankful for your help. Enough of me blabbering on. I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers guys.